Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a twin flame channel and Western astrologer, and this is a video about the Pisces new moon for the divine counterparts taking place on March 10th at 5 a.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local time. Thank you so much for joining me for another action-packed lunar update. We should be back. We're back to our regularly scheduled programming. I know last video I did something very specific. I was like trying to source our hive mind and like bring together like resources for folks of people who can help them with different things. Only for some of you to reach out to me and say, I posted my comment, but then it seemed to get deleted. I cannot figure out YouTube's like why they delete certain things and they don't delete other things. Some of you were able to post your resource for other people, others of you were not. And so, what I'm going to do as we get into the weekend, it won't be this week, there is a document that I have been keeping with resources for divine counterparts and twin flames and light workers. I'm going to give you access to that as a form that you can fill out if you do have resources that you can share with folks. I'd love to be able to make sure people can have access to you, to your services, to your light work. So stay tuned for that. Be on the lookout for that as a post in the community section this weekend. If you're not subscribed to this channel, definitely do so, because there's a lot of different information and pieces of content that I'll put in the community section for us, but you'll miss that if you're not subscribed and you don't hit the notification bell. You'll just kind of show up when you show up, and sometimes you'll miss opportunities to like share your business like we'll do this weekend, or to get support, or get a piece of astro insight that I didn't put in a lunar update. So welcome if you're new here. I do this type of update every new and full moon, and you have the opportunity to kind of listen in, follow along, and share for your connection in the comment section what you're experiencing. Timestamps are below the video so that you can easily come back and listen. If you need to check in with yourself about anything as we get closer to the new moon, and you'll be able to find what you need that way at the end of every Lightworker energy update. And that's the update I do just as I publish this one. There's another one that gives kind of the general thematics for the lunation. That one actually functions like part one. This one functions like part two. So if you really want to understand why I'm instructing you to use the energy in a very particular way at any lunation, I strongly recommend you start with part one first. Come back and listen to this as part two. It'll ground the information that you're hearing so that you can use it in more constructive ways. Last announcement before we dive in. The program Star Club is now available for you to join. I have talked about it on the channel in the community section with my private list, but if you missed it, Star Club is a 12-week community for astrology lovers to learn, practice, and share astrology's wisdom. And it is an opportunity with some one-on-one opportunity with me, as well as a community that absolutely loves to talk all things astro. We kick off this Thursday with our first astro chat, and astro chats are a opportunity for us to be live together. There's every week on Thursdays 90-minute live conversations where I'll either read charts and break them down and help you understand why I'm reading them the way I'm reading them, or you can bring me a chart if it's not yours, a loved one, or your counterpart. I'll have a look at that for you inside of Star Club. Or you can read a chart with me and I'll coach you through reading and breaking down a chart. You can scrap all the astrology and just talk about astro business building if you need that in a hot seat. But the spots for that are closing up pretty quickly. I reserved about 20 spots for the live astro chat and readings with me, the hot seats. 15 of them are already booked. So if you would like to get your hands on that, it does come with Star Club. If you're one of the first 20 folks to register, definitely enroll now. I wouldn't wait. But some of you have already emailed me and said, look, Kay, I really want to join, but I need to wait until the second Friday of March so that I can join with that paycheck instead of the first Friday paycheck. Totally fine. There is the option to join with either 3 installments of $397 to make this easier for you, but also you can invest in full for one payment of $997 and you get a little bit of a savings if you do that. When you enroll, you get access to the community, but also instant access to Star School 101, Astro Basics. If you've never read before, that's in there. And Star School 201 and 301. Some of you have taken taken 101, but you're ready to go deeper. If you know you're ready to go deeper, you can get access to Twin Flame Astrology and North Node Mastery. And if you haven't finished those classes and you know you learn better in a community where you can ask questions and get a study buddy, get some feedback on charts as you go from a community, this is the right place for you. You'll also be able to trade readings with other members. One thing that I've noticed about everyone who's joined so far, they are top tier when it comes to their capacity to read, understand a chart. I would trust them with my own chart and my own family members' charts if I needed a reader because they are that based in truth, that focused on love, that clear that astrology can empower you rather than push you around. And so, whether you've never read before or you're reading for the first time, this is a really great group to join. For the duration you're in Star School, you'll also get 20% off just about everything with me. And the full dates for the Astro chats are right here on the page. I'm going to link this page below the video. So when you're ready to enroll, you'll have immediate access to it. But there's also some links in the community section. Like I said, we start this Thursday with a chit chat, astro chat, all about the eclipses and how they're going to impact us, at least these first eclipses in the spring. And like I said, doors close on Friday, but those spots where you get the opportunity to read with me directly or have that one-on-one attention, those are probably going to fill before Friday. So I don't recommend you waiting if you have the capacity to join now, given how quickly spots are moving. Last thing that I will say about Star Club is that this has been a long time in the making. I have wanted to do some sort of private mentorship where you could learn astrology and practice astrology with me. And I can give you all the little tidbits and nuances of that go just beyond the basics. Like, for example, this weekend in the community section, I shared a post about masculine and feminine in love connections, divine love connections, and how you can see that in a chart. And when you know your personal blend of masculine and feminine, you can get out of trying to make your connection make sense based on what the culture says you should be, according to what parts you were born with. Instead, your connection can get balanced out when you work with the energy instead of trying to work with a script. And so Star Club is going to give us the opportunity to dig into those kind of nuances that you can't necessarily learn or put into a course. It's not its own module per se, but it is something that will really help you understand why things are playing out in your connection the way they are, what you can do about it so that you can be more empowered and facilitate greater union energy. Link like I said, is below this video. I sincerely hope that you join us. We're going to get started fairly quickly, and I know it's going to be a ton of fun, which is also something that was a dream for me. I wanted astrology to be fun, not just, all this mental work. I wanted to have fun with you guys. So this is our chance to do that. Okay, let's get back into this Pisces new moon and talk about the impact. So As a quick recap to part one, the Pisces new moon is here at the 20th degree of Pisces. Mark that out for us. Moon, sun, 20 degrees. We have a conjunction to Nessus right beside it. Here's Nessus at that 17th degree of Pisces. We have an opposition to Lilith here, who is hanging out in Virgo, and she is bringing all of her desires to be included and to do what she wants to do in her way. We've got a square to Vesta, and that's evoking lots of questions about dedication, commitment, and follow through for us. And an almost conjunction to Neptune, who is here at that 27th degree of Pisces. So, as a quick recap, this new moon facilitates a way for us to integrate some deeper truths revealed at the Virgo full moon about where we can better align ourselves to what we were shown. The discomfort of that period was filled with a lot of brilliant insight, even if it was uncomfortable to see those truths. For divine counterparts in particular, the first 4 months of this year include a period of revelation and integration of the connections, love, and the third dimension, since both counterparts are sitting in earth signs for 4 months together. We've got Juno here in Virgo, and we've got Jupiter here in earth sign Taurus. Whatever has been blocking your ability to experience this love in the third dimension in a concrete and tangible way would have shown itself at the Virgo new moon as something that needs attention in your third dimensional reality. Now, 2 weeks later, with a Pisces new moon, we're getting the opportunity to take steps at realigning our lives to have greater capacity for everything this love can be in the third dimension in terms of leadership, impact, lightness, and legacy. Now, the divine counterparts here are it's really having the exact same conversations with all planets except for one. And so let's go ahead and dive into what those conversations are. Juno and Jupiter, they're in conversation with each other, which means anyone talking to one means that it's also talking to the others. Saturn is opposing Juno, sextiling Jupiter. We have Pholus trine them both from Earth sign Capricorn, Pholus and Ceres, speaking to both of them here. Now we have a square from Pallas to in Sagittarius to Juno. She's the only one receiving activation from Pallas. Jupiter is not receiving that activation. They're in a conversation we as astrologers call a no conversation, the inconjunct. We've got a conjunction here to Lilith, 17 degrees of Virgo. And for the divine feminine, Lilith is also speaking to divine masculine energy in that trine. And we have an opposition to Nessus and Pisces for the divine feminine. That would be a sextile for the divine masculine. And we've got a trine to Uranus for the divine feminine. That is a conjunction for the divine masculine. What's it all mean, K-Moon? I'm going to tell you. Hang in there. So just like at the last lunation, both counterparts are talking to one another and involved with the lunar energy. And so we see the divine masculine energy involved with the moon by somewhat of a sextile, and the divine feminine energy involved by somewhat of an opposition. I say somewhat because they're not really close degrees. There's a little bit of distance there. It's loose connections waning, which allows the divine connection community's story to move more into the background as a framework for the collective to do their work within, as opposed to the foreground, which is where it was at the last lunation. So this lunation has less application for the collective, but for us, it is going to be potently powerful in our own connections. Since the two of these, husband and wife, Jupiter, husband, wife, Juno, are speaking in conversation with all of the same luminaries except for one, and that's Pallas. Pallas is only speaking to Juno there. Because they're in conversation with all of the same luminaries, rather than break these down as separate entities, as I will do as we move into the remainder of the year and they're having less of a conversation, I'm going to talk about one energy, the energy of the connection, the unified energetic field. Now, a few lunations back, I shared the perspective that the construct of separation is only that. It's a construct, and it can only exist if the original construct is union. The idea of separation can only be in existence if union is already in existence, if it already exists. So, no matter how things might be rendering in the third dimension for you and your connection, the program was, the program is, and the program will always be union. It is important to understand that if we're to make progress, erasing the idea that separation, chasing and running, longing and yearning, loss and absence have to be some part, identifying part or component to divine love. They don't have to be. It's not a requirement. And they are no guarantee that the experience unfolding is a twin flame, so divine soul connection experience. Those aren't hallmarks of divine love. I believe we can step into a reality collectively where deep, life changing love can be held, experienced, touched, and lived in the third dimension with a lot more ease, where that love can heal us and put us together within ourselves, as well as bring us together with a counterpart. Pain and separation are not a prerequisite to experience the power of that love. Can it happen? Sure. Does it have to? No. But in order for us to jump into that truth together, we definitely have a timeline opening up here as Uranus is in conversation with both counterparts. Uranus is that hand of God energy that opens up timelines and quantum leaps us into new realities. In order for us to jump into that truth together, we also need to believe it together, you and me, and make the necessary adjustments to our individual lives in the third dimension together, since the counterparts are locked into earth signs for a few more months. So we can make the third dimensional changes when we encounter things we don't understand about other people or challenges in our own life. We can choose to respond in new, loving, unified ways. And B, we can do this. We can make the necessary adjustments in our individual lives when we receive invitations to grow, like we are at the last full moon and this new moon. We have to choose to believe that change and evolution can be easy, even if we haven't yet had the proof. This portal, this extended union window energy calls for all of us to believe it. Now, if you're new here, welcome, subscribe so you don't miss a thing. We are coming out of a 2-year union window time frame that began in January of 2022, peaked in January of 2023, closed in January 2024 with this third dimensional addendum, if you will, around anchoring union in the 3D with both counterparts speaking in harmony from the same elements, earth element. Okay. This portal, like I said, calls for us to believe it before we see it in the 3D. It's opening up an opportunity for us to affect mass consciousness around the constructs of twin flame, divine counterpart, soulmate, etc., and change the trajectory for all of those awakening to the path and all of those who have plugged their shadow and collective energy into the heart grids associated with this path. So if you're into that with me, or you find that inspiring, let me know in the comments with an I'm in, or let's lead this legacy even just hit the like button on the video. I think we can do it if we all focus on it together and take the needed steps in our individual lives. Because remember, we're plugged into that heart grid too. I love knowing that even if I don't know you personally, my efforts are helping your efforts, and your efforts are helping mine through the collective connected heart grid. Now, according to this lunation, here's the pathway that leads us to that reality and timeline if you're willing to participate in the co-creation with me. The strongest conversation for both counterparts. Let me clear this so we can get Uranus out of the picture. Jupiter, husband, Juno, wife. Strongest conversation is the opposition to Saturn because it's closest in degrees to both Jupiter and Juno, sextile to Jupiter, the square to Pallas for the divine feminine in particular. That's just her, not him. And the trine to Pholus and Ceres, that particular combo here in trine to both counterparts. These are the strongest, most influential elements on the divine connections at this particular period of time. Okay. The planets are pretty exact here and tell a kind of specific story, right? The Pholus and Ceres piece is really giving us a chance to step out of shadow and things that have poisoned us in the established rhythms of our third dimension. And Saturn here is giving us the opportunity to shore up significant levels of our own wholeness and integrity. And that's unfolding for both counterparts, but the divine feminine gets a little something extra special with Pallas in square to her. And I like this while she is in retrograde. And in a moment, I'm going to explain why. Pallas specifically is self-protection and protectiveness. Okay. With Pallas speaking only to the divine feminine energy. And again, divine feminine, I use it very loosely. I'm not talking about people and their parts. I'm talking about a frequency. With Pallas speaking to the divine feminine energy, if defensiveness has been a problem with Pallas in square to Juno retrograde, which is more of a withdrawing energy, Pallas is out here in the sign of truth, faith, hope, and optimism. You may find that you feel the need to withdraw rather than fight at this time, so that you have some space to reflect on some truths being revealed rather than project, and that can be really helpful. Another way that this could play out is in shadow, opting for separation to deal with what's coming up instead of learning how to stay connected while you work through it. As long as you have the idea in your mind that you have to be alone to deal with your stuff, that same either or pattern will manifest in your connection over and over and over. That kind of thinking will lead you to live a timeline in your connection where you either have to be perfect in order to be in connection or in union in the third dimension, or you can be your evolving and growing self, but the only way you get access to that is outside of the connection, some format of separation. At some point, if a pathway that includes traditional 3D union is something you want, we have to learn how to navigate being evolving beings and being connected at the same time. That's something to keep in mind, as the truths showing up may feel more stimulating than is comfortable at this time. Okay. Now, further, this Pholus Ceres component, I spoke about them extensively at the last lunation. For everyone, Pholus calls out toxicity and patterns. Ceres calls out completion of seasons. These two are inviting us again at this lunation to close out established patterns of poisonous behaviors or established environments that may have comforted us before or been routine in the past, where we've been attached to those either environments or the people who validate and justify those patterns and behaviors in our divine masculine energy field. This is justifying and validating attachments that may not be heavy for us or may not be healthy for us, shadow, or we've been giving it we've been ritualistic about just doing them again and again. That's Juno here in the sign that deals with rituals, Virgo, habits, routines. And we've been doing these things that have been unhelpful for us, either rotely, unexaminedly, just because we've always done it. This is the time period where those behaviors that have undermined connection will not only show themselves to be the block in our connection's evolution, but we'll also be able to see what needs to be done. Now, this applies to both those who consider themselves in union and want to create some sort of next step in the union, buying a home, building a business, creating children and a family, or those who consider themselves on their way to union. Okay. The Saturnian piece is opening up a chance for us to restore wholeness here. And that here's Saturn. Saturn's all about restoring wholeness and integrity, but in a specific way. We need to cut out something that has been compromising wholeness and integrity in the third dimension first. In the divine feminine energy fields, it looks like a habit or a behavior that impacts mental or physical well-being, as she is in Virgo, sign of well-being. In the divine masculine energy fields, it looks like closing out or cutting off something that's compromised wholeness through either desire or lust or attachment that may have, and that whatever thing that is has probably put a cap either on your financial potential or your love story. Everyone has their own configurations of masculine and feminine energetics in their connection. So I want you to take what I just said as it applies to truth for you personally. Now, either way, now we're going to widen our scope here and include Uranus in the conversation for both of them. Either way, the Uranian involvement is opening up new ways of thinking and behaving around whatever the challenge has been, and thus opening up new timelines. Our renewed wholeness by cutting out whatever this thing is that's been undermining the connection's wholeness is what's going to open up a new timeline in the connection. And in this way, some very black and white, either or choice points to this. We can either continue with the thing that has clearly caused problems in the connection and take another spin with a separation identified timeline and a separation consciousness. Or we can cut out our affiliation with that thing and see how that opens up union within us so that union outside of us can also exist. Some things that I've been hearing specifically from various clients about what they are cutting off in order to access union anchor points in the third dimension include things like, but not limited to, I'm going to give you guys some examples here. Releasing exes or other semi-romantic partners that they've entertained flirtatiously as a backdoor or a plan B, C, D, E, F, G, or when they know that they're just not in love with them, they haven't been in love with the person, and they're not gonna be in love with the person, releasing the illusion that somehow, some way it could turn into something more, and then releasing that person from that illusion. I'm also seeing clients release patterns of under earning and not standing for their financial sovereignty that is truly their birthright. They're no longer letting themselves be underpaid at their jobs, undercharging in their businesses. They are releasing complete financial dependency on another person when they have the absolute ability to work and contribute to the world and improve their own lives for themselves. I'm watching clients release jobs or career paths that dim their light, their energy, and their contributions. Now, listen. I want to be clear about something and make some distinctions here. I'm not saying We all need to be on a path where we're getting paid to do exactly what we love to do and so-called living the dream. I'm not saying that, but because there's plenty of amazing jobs that leave us with all of the free time and energy that we need in order to be both financially sustainable and also be mentally healthy. But where a job environment has clearly been toxic and unhealthy, it's already compromised your security here on earth because you have to live in a state of emotional dysregulation to keep it. Those kinds of situations, those are the things I'm watching clients release. I'm watching people let these jobs go. And in many cases, this may be your situation, these jobs are letting my clients go. And this is like the universe and God kind of stepping in and saying, okay, I'm sick of your suffering. How about you not suffer and we find you where you do fit? And to this, I say good. It was union with a counterpart, and even more importantly, union with yourself that this releasing is going to give you. We are creative beings. We can create other ways of having the material resources we need without our suffering being a prerequisite for that. Okay. And like I said, everybody's not going to have that kind of job where they're passionately doing exactly what they love and they're making all this money doing it. I think we do a disservice telling people that that's the only or the best way to live when there's amazing jobs with good people that we can all do that free us up for pursuits of our passions in our evenings and weekend times. I'm also seeing a lot of clients release relationships that have instigated, reinforced, or solidified a separation consciousness version of you. This includes friendships where you commiserate over negativity and or romantic partnerships that their heart is just clearly not in, but their body is. I'm watching clients release these with love at this time. I'm also seeing clients no longer justify living in states of mental chaos and not getting help for any mental state that isn't working, no longer justifying living in states of emotional dysregulation and not getting help to come into emotional stability. It's totally okay if you've tried the antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds, or ADHD meds before and they didn't work. No one's saying you got to go back there. But what I am seeing some of my more successful clients in this energy do is embrace that we are in a time of unprecedented breakthrough in the world of natural medicine and alternative healing and new understandings of the brain and how to optimize it. Whether it's been my clients' minds or their emotional states, this is the time period where those who are getting unstuck are empowering themselves to no longer be trapped by a diagnosis. They're trying something different, something new. And as a result of that, opening up a whole new timeline for their lives with greater emotional regulation and optimization of neurochemistry. And that is opening up the potential for even higher union timelines than the one they previously had access to. Those new union timelines are becoming more accessible to them. And so that's not to say that the diagnosis is a toxic thing and to cut it off. Obviously, you got to, I'm not being Pollyanna about this. I'm trying to make the point that in this energy, you too can experience a lot more success by releasing any justification of living a lesser version of yourself because of the diagnosis. I'm watching people release attachment to less, either feeling less than or being less than, so that they can embrace all of who they are and get more. Okay. Now, these are just some of the examples to help you have a think about what this lunation is inviting you to release that may have comforted you before, but has since become toxic in this invitation into a higher timeline. The choice to release is ours, but the choice is timing. That's now. How you release it, that's up to you. But the moment for releasing it, that's today. Okay. So if you need some help kind of figuring out what this is for you, the March calendar is open. You're welcome to book an appointment with me where we can talk about what you've experienced in some of your pathway to union. I can look at the access point to union in your chart for the 7-year cycle that just opened up for twin flames and divine counterparts. And in taking a look at that, you'll get the opportunity to know what is your thing to do right now to facilitate the access to that higher timeline. Okay. A lot of time available right as we come to the peak of this Pisces full moon. So if you've been hoping to kind of catch me right as the energies are active, now's a good time to book. And alternatively, if in fact you are ready to learn how to see more of this stuff for yourself, then definitely join Star Club with your money instead, because then we'll be able to talk about not just this new moon and the next full moon and the several after that. We'll be able to meet weekly and really have a look at charts and whatnot and chit chat to figure out what's going to work best for you as you integrate this in the coming months. Link for that is below the video as well. Let's talk about the next most potent energy for both counterparts. Here is our friend Jupiter and our friend Juno once again. They are speaking to, like I said, Lilith here in Virgo. That's loose because the degrees are much further away. Same with Nessus here in Pisces. He is sextile, she is opposite. Lilith is trine him, it's conjunct her. And we also have Uranus in conjunction to Jupiter and in trine to Juno. Again, much looser, but still very active in the way it's impacting the counterparts' connections. Now, I really love Lilith in conversation with the counterparts for this passage because this passage is so third dimensionally focused for both counterparts in very third dimensional signs, Earth sign Virgo, Earth sign Taurus. The needed configuration for your life to be included in your connection, like all the way, no hiding, no editing, but no complacency with our own BS either, or anyone else's for that matter. I love this, that Lilith is bringing that to the table. Lilith really deals with themes around inclusion and rejection, wanting to do things your own way, and needing to participate in ways that work for you. And so Lilith's influence here, especially because Nessus is also involved, and Nessus is that obsession energy, it's going to make us a bit pedantic about ensuring that we're not leaving parts of ourselves out or letting other people leave parts of themselves out. There's an invitation for inclusion in this that is going to come from inside of you. It may feel a little uncomfortable first to realize, like, oh, I actually do want all of my life included with this person and all of their life included with me. I want oneness here. Or there's this part of me that I only get to express when I'm outside of the connection. I want oneness here. I want that part of me expressed in the connection. The aspects here and the planets themselves, the luminaries themselves, Lilith and Nessus, it can be a little uncomfortable. Nevertheless, this is instigating creative processing and new ways of responding to our lives, our triggers, and our counterparts. Like, this is the for real, if it ain't working, own it and do something different while staying connected configuration. Include more you, more of your own authenticity, more of your own truth about you, more of your own needs. That's the moon. Your desires, that's the Jupiter and Taurus component down here. more of and deciding to prioritize them. That's the Juno in Virgo component rather than less you or less of your counterpart. This is about coming into some format of more. Now, a funny story. I remember being in this is over 2 decades ago now. I had a roommate, and she and her girlfriend were, crazy in love, like that kind of like Beyonce drunken love kind of vibes to it. And my roommate wanted to ride a motorcycle so bad. She thought it was the hottest, coolest, like status elevation thing that she could possibly do. She thought it would just be amazing to get a motorcycle. And so she got a promotion at work and she had the money saved and she was looking at motorcycles she could buy, and it freaked her girlfriend out. Completely freaked her out. And so they went over all the reasons why my roommate shouldn't get the motorcycle. They talked about it for several months. And eventually, my roommate decided no motorcycle. I was like, damn, for real? She was like, yeah, I don't want my girlfriend to be afraid every time I'm on it. I don't want to cause her that kind of stress. I said, I don't think this is the way love works, roommate. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, it's one of your heart's desires. Maybe, there can be a little bit more room for it. Fast forward about 3 months later, 90 days, uh, my roommate's girlfriend got a new bicycle and she wanted to ride that bicycle to work every day instead of driving. She was concerned about gas and emissions and the environment. She wanted to save money. However, the city we were living in is notoriously known for people in their bad driving. And like car accidents and bicycle accidents were actually really regular occurrences in that city. And so that freaked my roommate out. So my roommate was telling me about this, how upset she was for days that her girlfriend just bought a bicycle and started riding it after she got upset about her wanting the motorcycle. And so they had a major blowout about bicycles and motorcycles. And I said to my friend, she was asking me for advice. She said, I don't know what to do. I don't want us to break up over this. I said, listen, 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 listen. Here's the deal. When two people come together, rather than both of their worlds getting smaller, both of their worlds should be getting bigger together, where there's more expansiveness, more space for expression of who you are and what you want and what you can contribute to the world. There's more friends, not less. There's more growth, not less. So, how about you let her ride the bicycle and you have some faith that she knows what she's doing. She can be safe and careful and that life will take care of her. And how about you invite her to step into the same trust with you when it comes to the motorcycle? Another 90 days, both of them were riding their respective cycles and everything was happy again. But this is the invitation of this particular new moon in Pisces. It's this configuration with the Lilith who wants to do stuff her way, and the Nessus who can be a little like clingy and OCD to what that way means. This lunation is going to give us the opportunity to say, how can I be more me inside of my connection, be more honest, be more real? And how can I also invite my counterpart in the third dimension to do the same? How can I release my attachment to them being a particular way or doing particular things just to please me, but instead turn around and work on expanding my capacity to embrace them? Okay. Now, the Nessus piece can be sneaky in opposition. Okay. I want to point this caveat out. It's going to be really easy with Nessus in the mix to see the other person and their problems and what they need to change and why your connection is the way it is because of what they are doing or they are not doing, how things could be better if and when they decide to do a different thing. I see y'all talk about it in the comments all the time. Well, when they finally decide they want to get into their spiritual, then maybe we can be together. No. This energy is calling us all out on these stories we tell ourselves about how other people have to be different so we can be okay. This is going to open up for us, whether you're a Swiftie or not, we're going to see where we are the problem. And better yet, we're going to be able to see what we can do about it and how we can change for the better because Ceres and Pholus are in the mix. Ceres is going to show us both counterparts what we got to close out of. And Pholus is going to show us why, how it's become toxic to us. The mirroring with Nessus and Lilith in this configuration is pretty unignorable. Whatever you think your counterpart needs to do, ought to do, should be doing, yeah, that's your playbook, word for word. Whether that thing we think they should be doing is something we need to do in the connection to improve the capacity of the connection's growth in the third dimension, or if that's something we need to do in the world of our work or with our kids or with our family, whatever your playbook is, if they just did this, and this, our connection would be better. That's what you need to do in your own life, all of us. Now, for some of you, it's even an inverse mirror, something we talked about in the workshop for twin flames I did called Divine Mirrors for Twin Flames. There's a preview of it, I think, in the Tools for Union playlist, and you can look at what the mirrors, different mirrors are. So the mirror could be something like, if they're so focused on the 3D and you keep thinking that that's the problem, the work for you that they're showing you is how you probably need to be more focused on the 3D and less out here in the 5D in order to shift the energy. And then that will give them room to shift into the 5D and do the opposite. Another example of the inverse mirror is us thinking that the other person is so absolutely focused on themselves. They're so wounded. They're so selfish. And they're literally, what they're doing is in the inverse mirror showing you where self-sacrifice is no longer working for you, and centering yourself in yourself will change the dynamics and outcomes for you too. If you want them to invest more in you in a particular way, the mirror might be that you need to invest more in you, your kids, your career path. You get the idea. Now, like I said, could be a tough truth, could be hard to hear. Silver lining, thank God the exact instructions your union is giving you about what you need to do to manifest it in the third dimension, they are right there in front of you. It is no mystery. It's not some secret, hidden spiritual block to union in this very earth energy the counterparts are in right now. It's not buried in some past life that we need to resolve. It's not karma. It's just choices at this point. So hopefully it's easy to see and apply, even if it's uncomfortable. But if it ain't easy to see and apply, the March calendar is open and there is available space at the peak of this new moon energy if you want to talk about how to fulfill on the instructions for this new moon in Pisces for yourself, in your life, and in your connection. We can have a chat about the challenges you felt about your connection and how they pertain to your instructions for union. If you're not able to make the connection and you want to get the instructions and just get on with it, like just tell it to me. What is it, K-Moon? I can look, we can talk about it, and we can unpack where the connection has been stuck. I can see it in the chart, what the growth point is for you, and how to get on a higher timeline with union. And if you want to take that to the next level and learn how to see these kinds of changes in an astrological chart for yourself, your counterpart in the collective, especially if you're the kind of person who gets very, activated by these new moon lunar updates and like you find yourself getting very regular readings with me. Some of you are in that boat. Rather than getting regular readings, I recommend you consider joining Star Club if you're the type of person who learns well in a community. This way, we'll have the opportunity to talk week to week about the integration of these energies. Okay. In our Astro chats. I'm so grateful for all of the ways you guys like, subscribe, and share this content. It truly means the world to me. I put my heart and soul into this work. And it's definitely a labor of love to put the lunar updates together every 2 weeks. So it's a lot of fun for me when you guys share in the comment section how it's coming, like breaking down for you. And like I said, as we get closer to the weekend, sometime over the weekend, if you've got some sort of business where you want to help other people, divine counterparts or light workers, I will post a form that you can fill out here in the community section. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure that you've hit the notification bell so that when I do, goodness gracious, you can fill out that form and then you can be part of a growing list of resources for those who need help in their journey from someone who definitely understands what does it mean to be a light worker? What does it mean to be a twin flame? I love you guys. It's always fun to be here with you, and hopefully I'll see you in Star Club. Take great care and bye for now.